So hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with an incredibly special The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now last night I was just continuing with my grinds here in the Hunter Call of the Wild, and I started off here on Revontuli Coast grinding for Whitetail, and at this spot here on my grind something amazing ended up showing up, and I am specifically grinding Whitetail in search of a drop time Great One Whitetail. That didn't show up, but instead a big rack Great One Whitetail ended up showing up, and he is incredible. Just what a sight. They're just so impressive. I mean, I just never ever will get bored of seeing animals like this in game. What a freaking monster buck. He is just incredible looking. Immediately I was like, oh my god, that's a great one. You know, didn't even have to spot him because he's just so huge that you could just see straight away. And it's funny with this spot, my tent is actually a little bit too close to the zone, so I actually have to run backwards a little bit to get the deer to actually show up here. And as soon as I saw them all spawn in, I thought, hang on a minute, what is that? And I was just like, there's no way that there's a great one there, and he's just absolutely beautiful. I mean, what an incredible buck. This is why I love grinding for these great ones, because, you know, I'm going for a couple of specific Great One trophies. For Whitetail, I'm going for a drop time Great One Whitetail, which is it's my favourite rack, and it's just one of the two racks that I don't have for these guys, and I really would love to get it, so I'm just going to keep grinding in hopes that one day that shows up. For Moose, it's the big non-typical rack, and, you know, I'm going for those specific trophies, and once I get those, then that's when I'll stop grinding. But getting these guys along the way showing up, it's such an amazing feeling. It's so rewarding, and I just absolutely love it. I get so much enjoyment out of getting to hunt these guys, and, you know, when they show up, it's just the best feeling. And he's just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Getting to see the Whitetail Great Ones, especially with the new models, is just fantastic, because I shot quite a few of the Great One Whitetail when they still had their old models, and this is only my fourth since they've had the new models, and they just look so fantastic. Really majestic, and I think that it really adds to how beautiful they are that they have these really fantastic new models as well. So I just do not get bored of seeing these guys. It is just so rewarding getting to do these grinds, and yes, I'm chasing after one specific rack for these guys. I'm chasing after that drop time Great One, but getting these guys along the way, even though it's not the rack I'm looking for, it's just the most rewarding thing. I absolutely love doing these grinds for this reason, and it's, you know, this is why I keep going, because having these encounters is just so awesome to me. I absolutely love it. Now, when I was recording this last night, it was still really hot here, so I decided that I wasn't actually going to follow this guy around, as, you know, with it being so hot and obviously my laptop that I play on getting really hot, I didn't really want to waste too much time, and I wanted to make sure I got this guy down on the ground just in case anything was to go wrong in this heat. So I decided to take him there with the 6.5, and I was a little bit worried for a second that I may have shot like above the heart and between the lungs, but I saw the health dropping and I knew I must have made a single lung shot, and I was really relieved. I was trying to keep it over to one side just in case, so I was really relieved when I saw that health dropping. He is absolutely gorgeous, and I get so nervous with shooting Great Ones. I say it every time. Every shot on a Great One is terrifying for me, and a frontal shot wasn't really what I wanted to go for, but it was all that he was going to offer. He kept sort of walking around alert in that zone, just not giving me anything other than a frontal shot. So I decided to take him there, and thankfully it did work out with a left lung shot from the 6.5. And he's actually, I believe, my smallest big rack Great One at 632.72, which is interesting because when I initially spotted him, I thought he looked different to the other big rack Great Ones I've seen. I wasn't sure if it was a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, but something about the rack just looked a little bit different. So when I picked him up and saw the score, I was actually sort of interested that I noticed that there was that difference, because it's not a huge difference. I believe my biggest is only 636, so not a huge difference, but definitely noticeable even while the animal is still walking around alive. And I absolutely love that there's going to be some difference between him and my other big rack Great One Whitetail. I love that about the Great One Whitetail, is that even though you could end up getting several of the same rack, they're always going to be that little bit different because of the true rack's influence. And you can end up getting some really wild and crazy looking great ones because of that. So that's just really, really cool to me, and I'm just super, super stoked to have another Great One Whitetail. This is number 11 for Great One Whitetail, and he's just absolutely majestic. What an incredible buck. I'm absolutely thrilled. And I am still going to keep on grinding and still chase after that drop tine rack. That is the dream, is to get a drop tine Great One Whitetail. And, you know, out of the 11 Great One Whitetail I've had so far, I haven't had that rack. The only 2 racks I'm missing for Great One Whitetail are the drop tine rack and the very typical looking rack that you can get as well. It's sort of a very big, typical looking rack. And, you know, I really, really hope that one day I will eventually get to see the drop tine rack for myself in game, because it looks absolutely incredible in every picture I've seen of it, and it just would be the absolute dream. But I am just stoked about this. I am really, really stoked. These guys are incredible looking. I mean, just look at how insane this buck looks. Isn't he just incredible? All of those tines. It's like a crown of thorns. It's absolutely amazing. And it's just an incredible looking buck. I absolutely love the antlers that they did for the Great One Whitetail. I still think they are one of my favourite great ones in the game, just because I love antlers. Antlers are absolutely fascinating to me in real life. They are incredible structures, and, you know, I love it in real life when you see a crazy non-typical where things have just gone really strange in the growth of the antlers, and getting to hunt animals like this in game where they've got these incredible strange racks. I absolutely love it. So something like this for me is just the most incredible trophy. I'm absolutely so excited, and every time I get to hunt one of these guys, it's just like, so, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I always say, it's a kick in my heart. I'm like, oh, that's a great one, oh my god, and then I'm just so excited about it, and it happens every single time. So I am absolutely beyond thrilled to add another one of these guys to the Trophy Lodge. And I will be doing a Trophy Lodge tour hopefully soon. There's just a couple of trophies I'm still looking to get, including hopefully a drop tine Great One Whitetail and the one Great One Moose that I'm chasing after. And then hopefully I will be doing a Trophy Lodge tour. Now, speaking of Great One Moose, after shooting that Great One Whitetail, I decided to go and sort of do some work on my other 2 grinds, those being for Great One Black Bear and for Great One Moose. And I came here to Medved Tiger doing my moose grind, and just out here on the ice, I ended up spotting this guy. This was literally a few hours after the Great One Whitetail. This guy ends up spawning a big, typical rack, fabled oak Great One Moose. I just can't believe it. I was like, there's no way that this has just happened. Literally, at this point, only a few hours ago, I'd shot the Great One Whitetail, and this was towards sort of the end of the night for me and the end of the day's grind, and this guy ends up showing up, and I was like, there is just no way. 2 great ones in one night is something that had never happened for me, so this was just absolutely insane, and I just couldn't believe it. And it's so cool for me seeing the fabled oak fur again, because my first ever Great One Moose had the fabled oak fur type, and it is a really pretty fur, and getting to see it again with the big typical rack, it just looks so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What a gorgeous, gorgeous creature. He is so pretty. And I love the Great One Moose. As I've said so many times, the Great One Moose, they are my favourite Great One in the game by far, because I love the furs, I love all the racks, I think they just look incredible every time. I think there's all of the combos, I don't think there's a single bad combo that exists for these guys. They are just so majestic and gorgeous and beautiful, and I just love them all. I think they are amazing. And getting to see another one of these guys was just absolutely awesome. Now, this is the big typical rack. I am looking and hoping for and grinding for the big non-typical rack, but this rack looks absolutely incredible. And funny enough, My first ever Great One moose, as I said, was the fabled oak fir type, and it actually had a half and half rack. It was actually kind of a rare Great One to get because it had half of this big typical rack and half of that big non-typical rack that I am grinding for. So it's a really, really interesting thing to then see this guy with this fabled oak fir type with the full big typical rack. Really, really interesting for me to actually see this as a combo, and he's absolutely beautiful. And I'm still going to chase after that big non-typical rack, but as I said, the same with the Great One Whitetail. Having these other Great Ones show up along the way for that grind for that specific rack is just incredible to me. And I can't even tell you how hard my heart jumped when I saw this guy in the distance. It genuinely almost hurt. My heart jumped that hard. That's how excited I get about these things. And I really hope it translates into these videos because, yeah, I always talk about the kick in my heart, and it's always genuinely real. It's that thud of my heart of, oh my god, that's a great one. And it happens every time. And yeah, it was really, really intense seeing this guy, especially I think after the Great One Whitetail as well. I think there was still adrenaline in me from shooting the Great One Whitetail, so it was absolutely nuts. Now, I decided to take this Great One Moose with the 6.5, the same 6.5 that we shot the Great One Whitetail with earlier, as I thought, two Great Ones on the same night that shoot them with the same weapon, seeing as this gun is actually capable of that. Which was actually really lucky that, I chose the 6.5 and it was actually able to cover both the whitetail and the moose. And after shooting this guy, he went aggressive, which was so, so cool to actually see. Now, he then starts to run off. You can see he went from being aggressive to actually running, and I decided to leave this full clip in this video so that I can talk you through what was happening here, because I was running along here and I picked up that blood and it said very low. I opened the map and it said it was a vital organ hit, which I was, considering the shot I took, I was very, very close, and I was pretty darn sure I should have gotten through to the vitals, so I was thinking, why does that say very low bleed rate? And you will have seen me, looking at the weapon stats before I shot this guy. Because I knew it was a weapon that I just shot the Great One Whitetail with, I was just checking and double checking and triple checking that this was an ethical weapon to actually shoot a moose with. And as soon as I saw that very low bleed rate, you can see I'm just checking and just worrying and going back and forth. It really made me panic. I was absolutely shaking at this point, because it's just seeing the very low bleed rate. You see that when you mess up an animal, you see that when you make a flesh hit, something that has gone wrong. So it was absolutely terrifying for me. I was really, really panicking, and I can say there was a few expletives being said as I was going along here, just in absolute full panic. And he landed so nicely, so I wanted to get just at least a picture, because I was so panicky at this point. I was like, okay, we'll get a quick picture, and then I'm going to pick this guy up and just find out that, hopefully everything went okay, because everything should be okay. It was vital organ using a correct weapon, so it should be okay, but I was terrified. And then picking him up, and I see the Great One medal pop up, and it was just the biggest sigh of relief, because that was genuinely really scary. I did not know that the 6.5 was going to give a very low bleed rate. Low bleed rate, maybe, but I didn't know it was going to give a very low bleed rate at a distance of only 25 meters. I thought it might just be a bit more than very low. I know this is an underpowered weapon to shoot a moose with by, quite a lot, but I just did not expect to see that very low bleed rate, and honestly, the panic in me was absolutely wild. But finally, picking this guy up and seeing that medal and knowing that everything went okay was just such a big relief. I say that, taking the shots on these guys is always scary for me, and it is. It genuinely is scary. And then I see something like that, and I'm just like, oh my god, if I messed one up, I would be absolutely heartbroken. These trophies mean so, so much to me, because, I do put in the work to get them, and they just mean so much. I absolutely love them, and if I messed one up, I would feel beyond terrible about it. So I'm really relieved that thankfully everything did go okay, and that very low bleed rate was just a testament to the fact that it's a very weak gun to shoot a moose with. Taking a look at the true score, this guy is slightly uneven, only a tiny little bit. But when I saw him, I did think that one antler looked slightly different to the other. So I was really intrigued when I actually took a look at the true score, and it did actually say there was some slight differences. Only very, very slight, so it would be kind of hard to notice, but definitely still some differences there. But just what a gorgeous moose. He is absolutely stunning. Those bright blue eyes, the white sort of strip down the forehead and onto the nose, the sort of pinkish colour nose, the golden fur with that dark neck is just beautiful. And taking a look, we got loads of pen with that shot. Like, it went well into that lung. It was more than okay, that shot. So I was really, really happy to actually see that. And looking at it and knowing that that's what the shot actually was, obviously I really didn't need to panic as much as I did. But it was a very, very scary moment. A really, really scary moment. And like I said, I was absolutely shaking. By the time I harvested this guy, my hands were shaking like a leaf. I was absolutely terrified. But just appreciating him here in the harvest screen. I really love that golden colour and how it transitions into the darker fur, sort of around the rear end, and then of course going up onto the neck. I think that looks so, so nice. The fabled oak is a really, really beautiful fur type. I think all of the Great One Moose are beautiful, and you know, I say it a lot when talking about Great One Moose. Beautiful, majestic, all of these words, because that's what they are to me. I think they're just incredible. And this big typical rack, it just looks wildly cool. It is huge. When you see it in, you know, in pictures and stuff, I don't think it really translates just how huge it is when you see it in game. I mean, it's freaking massive. You see that standing anywhere, and you know immediately you're looking at a great one. It just doesn't compare. It's really insanely huge and insanely cool. And those tines, the way that they curl is just amazing. Such an incredible Great One. I love the Great One Moose, and I will just always love them. I think they are absolutely fantastic. And now we have another new combo to go into the Trophy Lodge. And I'm still going to keep grinding, the same as I'm going to keep grinding Whitetail. I'm still going to keep grinding Moose in search of that big non-typical rack. I hope one day I'll eventually get to see that big non-typical rack in-game, and when that one finally shows up, or if it finally shows up, that will be when I stop grinding Moose. If, you know, the next Great One Moose shows up and it has that big non-typical rack, then I will be done. I just really am desperate to get that one particular rack. It's my absolute favourite rack, and it is the one I'm missing. So I'm really hoping that eventually it will show up. And, you know, with how successful I've been recently, I really hope that, you know, eventually one of these guys will show up with that insanely wild-looking big spiky rack on their heads as well. And then, like I said, then I'll be done grinding Moose. So I'm just absolutely thrilled. And I can't wait to go and keep going and see what else shows up, because I'm loving every moment of this grind for the big non-typical rack. It is absolutely awesome, and I just can't get enough. I absolutely love chasing these guys, and yeah, and getting to make these videos and share them as well. But that is going to be it for this video, so thank you all so much for watching, and for all your support as always. You are all absolutely amazing, and I really appreciate absolutely all of it, so thank you so much. But that is going to be it for this one, so thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.